Hi there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 2722 of What Shift to Now. Today we're talking about the SOAP framework, of course, mental health and well-being, of course, action orientation, decision-making time lapse, which I'll expound on in a little bit, and supersizing our business and being a better version of ourselves as part of this year's annual challenge, the Be a Better You annual challenge. Well, today and all this week, we've been working on the SOAP framework for a mental health or mental well-being challenge area or something that we want to improve. I picked negativity and negative self-talk as mine personally, but that rolls into my business as well, because sometimes we have the negativity that occurs in our personal life and in our heads that leaks into our businesses, which is part of today's topic. Step 3 of the SOAP framework is action. And so we usually analyze alternatives, and I share a bunch of different tools that I use and that other people use to analyze different options and alternatives, and then select one in order to make a decision and take action. But I got to thinking this morning as I woke up and was getting ready, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Let's think about how action-oriented are we as individuals, and are we in our businesses or in our careers? Do we get an idea and sit on it for 5 years before we take action? And then the second part of that is, so how action-oriented are you? Ask yourself today on a scale of 1 to 10. I like to take subjective things and add a number and a scale to them so that I can measure them over time and see if I'm going in the direction I want to go. Overall, I personally want to be more action-oriented. And as I get older, I find that I need a little more push, right? Because I just don't fret about stuff that I used to fret about when I was younger. So on a scale of 1 to 10, if I'm procrastinating, if I'm not taking action, if I already know what to do and what I want to do, but I'm just putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, I'm going to rate myself pretty lowly, at least under a 5 for that scale. Although I think the average person is pretty good at not being action-oriented, especially nowadays. As life gets more convenient and easier and more automated for us, I think we get lazier as human beings. Just my opinion. Of course, there's everybody on the spectrum, and we're all different place on that spectrum of how action-oriented we are and how lazy or motivated we are. I think if we have something that we really want and we're clear and focused on that, we're much more likely to take action and be action-oriented toward that than if we aren't. If I'm not excited about something, I will put off taking action on that. I will procrastinate. I will watch a Netflix show. I will go for a walk. I will cook something. I will create something. I will do something else and put off the thing that I know I'm going to do eventually, but I'm not going to do it right now, right? And we have to set priorities and decide what's important for us to do when. But part of that is taking action. Decision making is the second part of this. And I call it decision making lapse, because it's the time between us deciding and making an actual decision about something and taking action. And that time, again, is going to vary. But overall, how long is that for you on average? I decide I'm hungry. How long before I get up and I have something to eat? I decide I have to go to the bathroom. How long before I get up and actually go to the bathroom? These are really simple, ridiculous examples, but so true. I mean, depending if I'm engrossed in something, I'll wait and wait and wait and wait, right? Because I'll keep doing what I'm doing. So, but overall, and this is especially important in our businesses and in our personal lives, right? How long between the decision that you made and the action that you took? Now, I knew a decision I needed to make, and I didn't make and take action on that for like 25 years. So I get it. There are some decisions we don't take action on immediately, but we know it's the right decision for us. And then we have all kinds of challenges along the way because we didn't make the decision when we first knew we needed to make the decision. That's a very personal example. You might not relate to it, but so I understand that we are all on a spectrum of where and how we do these things, but overall, how quickly do you make a decision and then act? I have learned over the decades, after that 2.5 decade mistake, that the faster I make take some kind of action after making a decision, the better. So I am constantly looking at that and getting faster and faster and faster. I decide I want to do something and I take an action toward that immediately, or as immediately as I possibly can. I decide this morning, I make a call today for sure, right? And that's hours maybe, depending on what other things I have already committed to, but I'm going to make sure I take action on a decision as quickly as I possibly can. And not all, like I said, some things it doesn't apply to, but for the most part, it does. So answer those questions for yourself today. How action-oriented are you? And what's the time between decision and action for you? Because those are things that we want to pay attention to for ourselves, because it will help make our lives easier, better, and moving in the direction we want to go much faster than if we're slow to make decisions and change, right? I guess we could talk about change. How fast are you to accept change and move on with the benefits of that change instead of focusing on the negative aspects of that change? Because things are changing all the time, and we're not going to be able to stop that ever. All right. That's all I've got today. If I can help you in any way, hit me up and ask. Let's have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.